It was an overcast morning in Jeffries Creek Park, located on the edge of the serene town of Florence, South Carolina. The air had that unmistakable coolness of autumn, just crisp enough to make each breath feel fresh and invigorating. For Laura Montgomery, an avid hiker and nature enthusiast, this wasn't just another day on the trails. No, today was something different. She had packed her gear, gathered her 2 children, and headed out on a hike she would never forget. As they made their way through the winding paths of the park, the dense trees towered above them like silent sentinels, and the soft sound of the creek bubbling nearby accompanied their every step. Birds flitted through the trees, and the rustling of leaves underfoot created a soothing rhythm. Laura, with her backpack loaded with snacks and water, kept a close eye on her children, making sure they stayed close by as they ventured deeper into the park. But as they rounded a bend in the trail, the peaceful silence of the forest was shattered by something that seemed almost surreal. Laura's sharp eyes caught a flash of movement on the edge of the creek, just beyond the thick underbrush. At first, she thought it might be a shadow, a trick of the light, but as she leaned closer, her heart skipped a beat. There, partially hidden by the foliage, lay a creature that would stop anyone in their tracks, a massive snake, coiled with the elegance of a predator, its brown, muscular body blending seamlessly into the surroundings. Her children, who had been laughing and chatting just moments ago, fell silent. They too had noticed the creature, and their eyes widened in awe. For a moment, the world seemed to freeze, as if nature itself held its breath. The snake was enormous, its length stretching at least 4 feet, maybe more. Its body appeared to ripple with muscle as it lay still, its head raised slightly as though observing the intruders in its territory. The sheer size of it was enough to make Laura's heart race, but it was the way it moved, or rather, how it didn't move, that held her in a trance. There was no rush, no immediate threat. The snake was simply there, part of the land, a silent guardian of the creek. Her first instinct was to retreat, to take her children and flee the scene. But Laura wasn't the type to run away from the unknown. She had hiked these trails countless times, faced off with snakes, raccoons, even a few curious wild boars, but this felt different. This encounter was something more profound, something that could offer a lesson in coexistence, in respect for the creatures that shared the land. "Stay still, guys," Laura whispered to her children, her voice steady but tinged with excitement. They obeyed immediately, their eyes fixed on the massive serpent. There was no fear in their gaze, only curiosity. They had been taught to respect the wild, but this was a true test of their understanding. Laura carefully reached for her phone, her fingers trembling slightly as she snapped a few photos of the snake. The size, the grace, it was nothing like anything she had seen before. The more she looked at it, the more she realized that it wasn't an ordinary snake. It wasn't aggressive or threatening. It was simply existing. Living. It was a piece of nature, perfectly in tune with its environment, as if it had been there for centuries, unnoticed by the casual hiker. Her mind began to race as she considered the possibility that this encounter might be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. There were many species of snakes in the area, and while most were harmless, this one seemed to command a special kind of respect. It was a brown water snake, also known as Nerodia, nonvenomous but built like a titan, its muscular body rippling beneath its skin as it lay there in the soft sunlight, barely moving. As she stood there, mesmerized, a voice suddenly broke through her thoughts. It was a comment from Gregory Holt, a wildlife expert she had followed on social media for years. He had seen the photos Laura had posted and immediately identified the snake. "What you've encountered is a Nerodia, a species known for its size and strength. While it's non-venomous, it can grow up to 60 inches long. And yes, they have quite a presence in the wild." Laura nodded as if he were standing right there beside her. She had read about the Nerodia before, how these water snakes had thick, powerful bodies that gave them the illusion of being much larger than they actually were. They were often mistaken for venomous species because of their intimidating appearance, but in truth, they posed no danger to humans unless threatened. Her children, who had been silently observing the snake, were now asking questions. "Why isn't it moving, Mom? Is it going to chase us? Her son, Jack, asked, his eyes wide with wonder. Laura smiled softly and knelt beside them. No, Jack. The snake isn't interested in us. It's not going to chase us. It's just living its life, and we need to respect that. She could feel her heart slowing, the initial rush of adrenaline fading into a sense of awe. There was something incredibly powerful about witnessing a creature in its element, unbothered, undisturbed, simply being. It was a humbling moment, a reminder that we are merely guests in the wild places we visit. But the snake didn't stay still for long. As if sensing the weight of the moment, it began to move slowly, gracefully, its powerful coils shifting as it slithered deeper into the underbrush. Laura watched in silence, marveling at the creature's calm confidence. There was no panic, no hurry. The snake knew it belonged here, just as much as the trees and the creek did. Look at that, Laura whispered, pointing at the snake's retreating form. It's so confident. It knows exactly who it is. It's not afraid of us. Her children nodded, absorbing the lesson silently. They had been raised to understand that the wild was not a place of fear, but a place of respect. And this moment, the calm, majestic presence of the brown water snake, was the perfect embodiment of that lesson. As the snake disappeared from view, Laura stood up slowly, her thoughts deep in reflection. This was more than just a snake encounter. It was a reminder that nature wasn't a force to be feared, but a force to be understood. The snake had not tried to chase them, to harm them. It had simply coexisted with them, allowing them to witness its power, its grace, and its confidence. Laura felt a new sense of connection to the park, to the creatures that called it home. She looked down at her children, who were now chatting excitedly about the snake and what they had learned. They were no longer frightened by the idea of encountering a snake on the trail. Instead, they were fascinated by it, eager to learn more about the creatures that lived alongside them. Remember, Laura said as they resumed their hike, we are visitors in their world. This is their home, and we must respect it. Always. Her words hung in the air as they walked through the park, the sounds of the forest accompanying them. The memory of the giant snake would stay with them, a symbol of the wild's quiet strength and timeless beauty. The hike continued, but the atmosphere had shifted. Laura and her children now walked with a newfound awareness of the land around them. They didn't speak much, but there was an unspoken understanding between them. They had witnessed something rare, something beautiful, a moment when the boundary between human and nature had blurred, just for a little while. And as they left the park, the sun beginning to set in the distance, Laura knew that this experience would stay with her forever. It was more than just a memory. It was a lesson. A lesson in respect, in coexistence, and in the quiet power of the natural world. As they walked away from Jeffries Creek Park, Laura turned back for one last glance. The park, with its towering trees and winding creek, stood silent and still, as if it too was honoring the memory of the encounter. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more stories.